This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 184. On today's show, a ton of injury news with WWE and AEW wrestlers being all banged up, as well as some AEW wrestlers not getting their contracts renewed. Of course, we're going to take a look at what's been going on with wrestling, with the latest topics and trends and some major news that broke on Tuesday with WWE. But, of course, you know, we're going to kick things off with the double or nothing results as we take a look at what unfolded on Sunday night. And doing it with me, as always, he's the one, he's the only, he is the Macho Man. He's not Randy Savage. He is the one, the only, the Doc, John Macroon. What's up, cuz?
Dude, I'm feeling like Sting over here, damn near 62 years old, trying to do Huracan Ranas off the top there. I'll say this. I know people will say that wrestlers in their 60s should not be in the ring, but if you're Sting and you have that cachet, it was just nostalgia galore to see him wrestle, and they kept it safe. It was not like him doing, like, it was timed perfectly. It was not him doing buckle bombs, but to see him in the ring and to do spots like that with fans, it was like, finally, we get to see some normalcy in the world of wrestling. And so to see Sting, I thought made the night for me.
Yeah, Sting was exceptional in that match. I thought overall, Double or Nothing paid a lot of dividends. I think there were some things where they kind of had some misses, and we're going to talk about a little bit of that. Let's just kind of jump right into the show. Serena Deeb ends up defeating Rio to retain the NWA Women's Championship. I don't think any big surprise there. Serena Deeb is signed with NWA. Rio isn't. We've talked about this before with Kenny Omega winning the Impact Championship. Usually if you're not signed to a wrestling federation or organization, you're not going to win that title. So I don't think that shocked anybody. It was a good kickoff match. I think the curtain jerk, though, was an epic match, was a fantastic match. And at the very end of it, I was left saying to myself, wow, this sets up beautifully for a really interesting story with Brian Cage and Team Taz. So Hangman Page defeats Brian Cage via pinfall. But leading to that pinfall, Brian Cage was in a lot of control of this match. And Brian Cage was in a position to win when he had different guys from Team Taz trying to interfere to help him out, which ended up just distracting him, allowing Hangman Page to get the win. In the end, you've got Brian Cage who's pissed off at the guys from Team Taz and basically leaves them in the ring. I thought the way this ended was perfect. Hangman gets the win, and Brian Cage gets another story to tell. I thought this was really good booking right here. What'd you think?
Yeah, I can't wait for 2022 for Brian Cage. I think he's the guy in waiting to kind of be that big dude. And right now, Hangman Page deserves to go over in the match. And I thought that, like I said, Brian Cage is a big man. That's a man kind of like Bobby Lashley that you could see carrying a world title and having a nice little run. So it's good to start him off, build the character, build some dissension, get some things going. But then, man, Brian Cage, you got to get him going soon because you don't want to devalue him because of the fact that he's been losing some feuds.
Yeah, no, for sure. He looks like he's a moneymaker for sure. All right, so then we go to the Young Bucks and the Young Bucks for John Moxley and Eddie Kingston. And the Young Bucks end up retaining, and they end up delivering like 19 V-triggers to John Moxley. Now, at the time, I didn't realize it. But looking back on it and looking at the timeline, John Moxley's in line to have a kid. So this was a perfect way to write him off television as he's dealing with an injury. They on Friday night's Dynamite, they basically said that he's out indefinitely with injuries. So this was a great way to write him off of television indefinitely until his baby's born and he can kind of get things situated. So I guess not a surprise here. And even when we're doing our picks, you picked the Young Bucks. I said the Young Bucks were probably going to win. I just love John Moxley and Eddie Kingston so much. I wanted them to win. So I don't think this was a big shocker to anybody. Again, another fantastic match, though. I thought it was really, really good. What'd you think?
Very special. Like I said, Eddie Kingston is coming into his own, and I feel like now he can kind of take the mantle the rub that he got from Jon Moxley and really start to take off, maybe get in the mix for the TV title, TNT title.
And then after that, we ended up having the 21-man battle royal, and I thought this was again more good booking because you had two matches that hit extreme high points. And how do you kind of adjust that so you don't have any low points in the show? Well, you do a 21-man battle royal where
for sure
it's a little bit of a pee break for some people. There's just so much going on. It's not going to really weigh the show down. Now, Jungle Boy ends up winning this, ends up going head to head with Christian Cage at the very, very end. But the 21th person was Lio Rush.
Lio Rush. Nice debut.
You thought it was good. I thought it was wasted. And let me explain why. I felt like Lio Rush's debut was a little bit blown here. Now, Lio Rush wasn't anywhere on my radar for him going to AEW. Honestly, I didn't even know if Lio Rush was going to get a second chance with a major wrestling promotion because of everything that happened in WWE. Lio Rush in WWE seemed like he started to believe some of his own press clippings and his head got a little bit too big and it really seemed like he was a backstage cancer. For him to now get brought into AEW and get him brought in this way, like I thought the 21st man was going to possibly be Andrade. I thought that was a real possibility.
Well, here's the thing. I think his contract still is like maybe 2 weeks away, so the timing just didn't match up.
Well, it might have been that. It might have been a thing of days where Andrade could not come in, but that's who I thought it was going to be. Turns out Lio Rush, and for me, it felt almost like because they've done such a good job with whoever this secret person is. For it to be Lio Rush, it was kind of a letdown, and I guess that's why it felt wasted for me. Maybe it was who the wrestler was, not how he was brought in.
Or you wanted him to have the Evolution 5-week promo where he's like, I've been wasted, I've been hated, I'm the guy, I'm coming, kind of get that promo thing too. But I think there's only two ways. It's shocking, or you get the introduction, like here he is, this is the person. So to have it, I understand where you're saying it could have been enhanced, but I think the shock value was what they were looking for, and they got it. And it was a nice moment to see Christian Cage kind of give Jungle Boy the rub there and say, hey, you're the next guy, get after it, you deserve it, things like that. So it was a nice moment, but we can't underscore what that rapper did when he was cutting shit on these wrestlers. It was great.
Oh, that was so good.
One of the lines of the night was to Christian Cage, you were good, but only when you had your edge. And it was awesome. And he's like, his flow is perfect. It was like, yo, and then he just hit the beats and then he was just going at it. But he tailed off at the end a little bit, got a little bit corny, but when you hit a grand slam line, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was watching it. I was like, oh my God, he just killed them all in the ring. He hasn't even stepped foot yet, but he killed them all in the ring. All right, then you had Cody Rhodes defeat Anthony Agano. You had Miro defeat Archer to retain. Now the Miro Archer match was so physical. This is, I think, everything that we wanted and everything that we expected. Lance Archer was pissed off because Jake the Snake got punched earlier in the day. Miro himself just looks like a freak show. And at one point, Jake the Snake supposedly brought his snake down, only for Miro to grab the bag and whip it to the back, which got a couple of boos. I thought this match, one, it healed up Miro so much, and two, it shows a little bit of vulnerability for Lance Archer, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think it makes Lance Archer a little bit more humanized, so you can tend to relate to him a little bit more. I thought this did a really good job booking and telling a story for two guys who really need a little bit more shine. So I thought it was pretty good.
And when the snake actually makes its debut, it's going to be sick. Everyone's going to pop. I think that's what you do is you tease it, and that's what you do. That's how you build intrigue. Because when it pops off, and whoever's going to be in the ring when it happens is going to be legit awesome. And I think we're all waiting for it. Maybe for the next big pay-per-view coming up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because it'll be such a big pop, the roof's going to blow off the place. Britt Baker defeats Sheeta to win the title. I think this was the perfect changing of the guard. Yep. Britt Baker's put her time in. Britt Baker has looked absolutely amazing. She's got a look. She's got a style. You know what she is. When she was on AEW Friday Night Dynamite, she cut such a great heel promo. She is a great heel. It's sad for Sheeta because just as fans are coming back, Sheeta's dropping her belt, but she's had it for over a year. She's been a fantastic champion. I thought this was the right time. I thought this was the right person to hand it off to. I thought this was done very, very well. Thought it was a fantastic match as well.
Sheeta, absolutely. I thought it was classic, a good jumping off point for Britt Baker, who you said, look, it's time. She battled injuries and she came back and she's worthy to become a champion. I think she's going to do wonders because we had said that, the women have plateaued a little bit, and now there's an opportunity for them to get their business done. And I think Britt Baker, put her in some feuds. Oh my gosh, you're going to have an opportunity to make a star there with her.
And I'm just pretty much going to let you talk about this match. The next match was Sting and Darby Allin. They ended up defeating Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. I know you love this match. Just go ahead and gush all over it for me.
Oh, it was great to see Sting. You're wondering, okay, is this going to be a tape match? Is this going to be something where they protect Sting to make sure that he is somebody that's going to be, because dude's over 60 years old. You have an asset and you sign him to a multi-year deal. So you don't want to have him show up for 3 months and then have a 2-year injury. So everyone was thinking, okay, it's going to be produced and everything like that. But then all of a sudden, we recognize this is going to be live. We're going to see this. And Sting timed it perfectly. I think he was used perfectly. I think having him in tag matches where those tag team matches can extend your career by decades, where you don't do all the work and get all the bumps, and then working with Darby Allin. And then you just had the perfect psychology where, he takes some bumps and then all of a sudden he rises up. And he's right there, and he's like, what? No, he's not going to jump off. No, he's not going to do it. No way. This is a tease. And then he did it. It was a great spot of the night because it's Sting, a 60-year-old man who, look, noticeably he's slower. This isn't the man that's running all over the place that was the Stinger back in WCW, WWE days from even 6 years ago. But this is a character you can believe in because he understands psychology. He understands how to move around in the ring to get you to care. And for wrestling fans, you didn't want his last memory, and I think all wrestlers are the same. They don't want their last memory of them holding their neck and kind of being dragged to the back. So now he's revitalized himself. Yeah, you do wonder, dude, you're 60 years old. Why are you still doing this? But when you love it that much, it's a sign of the past. His entrance was beautiful. It was a great match, and you got to give credit to the opponents as well. I like Scorpio Sky. I think he's a perfect kind of reminder of Too Cold Scorpio back in the day. Mm-hmm. Just a good worker, somebody that you can trust to put in there with anybody, and good things will come to him. He's gotten a taste with some elevated matches, but to see him in there, great match all the way around. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Here, I'll go this far. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page at some point will hold gold.
Yeah.
Whether it's tag team or whether it's a championship. I think both of those guys are fantastic on their own. They both have great looks. They both can cut really good promos. Scorpio Sky, though, is a guy who I think is very charismatic. I think he can draw you in. And I think he is, we refer to a 5-tool player all the time. I think Scorpio Sky is a 5-tool player. He needs to, at some point he's going to have that breakthrough. He just hasn't had it yet. And I think Tony Khan realized, exactly, I think Tony Khan and the guys in the back realized what they have with him. And that's part of the reason why they ended up breaking him up from, Team SoCal. So I think that you'll end up seeing him on the rise. Now, this next match I thought was great, but I'm going to be honest with everybody. Kenny Omega and Orange Cassidy and Pac. Kenny Omega ends up defeating the two to retain his belt. I'm going to tell you how it was. It had a lot of really good stuff in the beginning, and it had a lot of fantastic stuff at the end. In the middle, it kind of lulled me to sleep, and I took probably a 15-minute nap in the middle of it, and I woke up just in time to kind of see some of the best action. So I thought it was good. I thought this was a little bit long and a little bit convoluted, but I thought it told a good story because Orange Cassidy being on the cusp of defeating Kenny Omega twice in the same match, only to have it ripped away from him, I thought was a great story.
So this is the match you're most disappointed in, huh? Because it put you to sleep.
I do think this was probably the match that I went into this match with a lot of really high expectations, and I think it was a kind of a culmination of things. I think, one, the day caught up to me because I ended up going golfing that day, and I drank quite a bit, and then just being out in the sun and everything. The night before, I ended up putting up a projection screen TV outside of the girlfriend's house, and I barbecued outside, so it was like a long night and a longer morning, which fed into the evening. I think it all just kind of caught up to me. and it caught up at the wrong time during this match. And I would say, yeah, this match was probably the biggest letdown out of all of them, I think, for me.
The showstopper was not Kenny Omega. He's got to do better. Look, it's one of those things where you don't want the World Heavyweight title to kind of be overshadowed, but at Double or Nothing, that was the case.
Yeah, it was. And the fact that it went on, I guess, second to last, which I get why it went on second to last, because you have this pre-produced match with the Inner Circle taking on the Pinnacle, and they end up spilling into the arena, which was fantastic. And that match told a great story. It was so well done. You had guys pairing off with each other. It was almost like a video game where you've got like 5 guys taking on another 5 guys, and within those 5 guys on each side, they each hate the own individual member on the other side. I thought again, great storytelling. I thought it was great work. And to be able to put over a young star like Sammy Guevara, especially after the year he had last year, with everything that came out about Sasha Banks and him, I thought this culminated in one of the best ways. And Sammy Guevara, throughout that entire match, I felt like he was the focal point. It wasn't Chris Jericho has been the focal point most of the stuff with Inner Circle. I thought it was Sammy Guevara. I thought maybe, I don't want to say you've seen the passing of the guard, but what you got the elevation of a young, on-the-rise talent. And Sammy Guevara, kudos to him. He did a great job basically carrying the torch for the Inner Circle. I thought it was a fantastic match. Did you love it as much as I did?
And we got to see Uncle Urban Meyer. That was so awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
But you should have, I think, if you wanted to pop, just have Tim Tebow walk in looking all swole in like a tank top. That would have been amazing. But, you know, maybe he has an image to uphold or whatever. But it was great to see the repelling. Like I said in our group message, I was a little nervous about that because we've seen some bad things happen. But it looked like they repelled in the safest way possible. It's been darn near 30 years. So
friggin' visions of Owen Hart, huh?
Yeah, you don't want to see that. You don't want to be like, oh my God, one wrong clip and this dude's dropping 80 feet on live TV. But they had a live element to it. It was great. Look, man, you can defeat MJF and still have him be the nastiest dude on the roster, and it's great. So all in all, I give the pay-per-view an A-. It was really good, and it was worth the money. Worth it for how we entertain it ourselves watching it. So I absolutely loved Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic pay-per-view. AEW does a great job. Again, my biggest complaint was probably the wasting of Lio Rush. It was kind of the way he was utilized. From all of that, we go to the picks. We each basically pick the same amount correct. We get a half a point apiece. You have 3.5. I have 4.5 at this time. All right. Tuesday. Tons of news was made after Monday Night Raw. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw, but we've got to talk about the biggest news that broke this week. Major WWE news was made when they released Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana, Buddy Murphy, Ruby Riott, and Santana Garnet. Now, on that list, Braun Strowman's a huge name. Aleister Black is a big name, even though he hasn't been utilized in probably over a year. Lana is somebody who's going to go to AEW. She's going to be with Miro. Miro shouted her out on Friday, and I thought it was great. So you know where she's going. Buddy Murphy is a guy who, when given a chance, Buddy Murphy's fantastic. And I can see Buddy Murphy. Here's the thing. Kenny Omega at certain points has said that he wants to get in the ring with Buddy Murphy. He said that he would have a fantastic match with Buddy Murphy. Don't be surprised if Buddy Murphy does not end up in AEW, and don't be surprised if it doesn't happen right around their next big pay-per-view because of the timing of all of this.
It's crazy because it's crazy because the thing that shocked everybody with Aleister Black involves the fact that why would you do 6 weeks of promos?
Yeah.
Why would you spend that much money in production? Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, it cuts mean you're trying to save money. Was it something where he felt maybe, because we don't know the whole true story, but obviously it looks like Aleister Black was kind of a little bit surprised that he was cut. But was it something where the build-up just didn't pay off? And sometimes maybe when you look at it, you say, okay, I'm going to build somebody up, and when the time comes and he gets out there, if he's not feeling it, then I think the big bosses just go, you know what, bye. And that's where they're at with it. I don't understand why you would do that. I feel like Aleister Black was a candidate to just bury him, because in essence, maybe you're doing him a solid and saying, look, let's build him up and then send him off. I don't get it, because you would think that he was a perfect character to just let sit on the fence, and then when he goes, look, I'm done, you release him. To do this, you elevated a star to go to somebody else. That doesn't make any sense, because you're really, in essence, creating your competition. So I don't understand that kind of philosophy. I wouldn't operate like that with any talent. It'd be like, look, are you happy? Okay, you're not? All right. You're gone for 120 days, out of sight, out of mind, and then we'll cut you. Or 5 months, 180. It'd be the Doc's 180. Someone's in Doc's 180-day plan. He ain't around. He's gone for 6 months. And then they get released, because with wrestling, people have short attention spans, and within moments you can create new stars just like that. Like you said, we alluded to Sammy Guevara. So to do this with Aleister Black, Braun Strowman, you've kind of touched on maybe the way he works has not been impressive to maybe people that care. Maybe it's a money situation. I don't know. But to lose him, I just felt like you just had a world champion, a big man, someone you could put in some major feuds.
Yeah. Speculation with Braun Strowman is it's a couple of things. Braun Strowman was earning guaranteed $1.2 million every year.
Oh my God.
So that doesn't include his take for his merch, doesn't include his take for any of his pay-per-views, doesn't include any of the royalties that he gets. So he was making 1.2 flat. So his was a bit of money. On top of that, you factor in that you have guys like Omos, you've got guys like Commander Aziz. They're all a little bit taller than him. So him being this undestroyable monster takes a little bit of a hit in Vince's eyes, because Braun's not as tall. He's not 6'7" like the other guys are.
Oh my God, 6'7" is the standard for the big man? Oh my God.
I guess. Which, I mean, like, Braun Strowman's a big dude. Like, on top of that, Braun Strowman's got himself into such great, incredible shape. Like, you're not fucking with Braun Strowman. Like, that's just that dude is a monster. He's gonna mess you up. You know this. So, I don't know. For him, it seemed like it was a bit of money, and for him, it seemed like he wasn't the shiny new toy anymore. So, it's crazy. And the thing about it is, these releases, they seem like they were done by two different parts of the company. Like you said, you brought up Aleister Black, and they were like laying out groundwork and plans for him. And Braun Strowman was just in a championship match like 2 weeks earlier. And then the next thing you know, all they do is they just cut all these guys. It seems like two different parts. Like, creative had no idea what was going on, but the financial department was like, oh, here's a list of the guys who are making the most money. We got to cut all of them. It was very, very weird, and it was shocking and jarring when all this news basically broke. Now, some more news that occurred on Monday Night Raw. We have a new voice. Jimmy Smith is the new voice of Monday Night Raw. Do you approve? Do you like him?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Everybody loves him. Everybody absolutely. That paid attention, noticed the difference right away. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, this is something that is much better than Adnan Virk. Mm-hmm. And I think the good thing is look, experience matters. You can't go into a live program and have this happen. You just can't. It's just a situation in which you have to be able to have experience, tell the story, and his call made the main event better. So I love Raw. And I love the fact that his energy was there. It was strong. It was so much energy that he brought to the table that I was super impressed with everything that he did. Good call, good energy, good timing. And look, this is not a newbie. He called MMA fights at some of the biggest fights in the world. So, come on. WWE dropped the ball with Adnan. It was kind of like, well, let's do something fresh. It had to be a favor. It just had to be like a tryout. Let's see if he hits a grand slam. We're kind of in transition. It sucks anyway. Jimmy Smith is way better, and everybody universally loved it. Yeah,
no, most definitely. Now, I guess some of the big fallout to come out of Monday Night Raw was what's going to take place at Hell in a Cell. So you've got Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre set for Hell in a Cell. At this point, this has been a long-running program between the two. In my estimation, it has to end at Hell in a Cell. You can't have this continue anymore. Drew McIntyre needs to go do something else. Bobby Lashley needs a new challenge. And I think I might have an idea who that new challenge is. But before we get to that, this has to end at Hell in a Cell, right? We can't have this continue on anymore.
Absolutely. It just has to. It just has to be something where You need new, because I think everybody's reaction was like, really? You could have just even had Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it's right there. You're telling the stories that people want, cuz. Why is it so hard? Kofi Kingston getting squashed by Bobby Lashley is something that would be so devastating? No, Kofi's kind of deserving of that opportunity, and I think they made the wrong call there.
I agree with you, too. It was frustrating. Now, when Drew was cutting a promo, he mentioned a name. He mentioned Brock Lesnar. And if you remember when Bobby Lashley came over from Impact, his one request was, I want to face Brock Lesnar. I want Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar in the ring. Can you make it happen, WWE? WWE said, yes, we can. We absolutely will make this happen. Fast forward a little bit, Brock Lesnar's no longer with the company, which is strange because WWE does this thing where if you're not with the company, they don't usually reference your name, but they did on Monday night.
Right.
So this could be setting up for Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam.
It has.
Do you want to see that match?
Yes, I absolutely want to see it. Bring in a star, bring in somebody that can help. You need it, man. You need some kind of infusion. Bro, did you see the rating? Third hour Monday.
Second lowest ever.
1.1 million people. You turn people off. You can't have that. 1.1 million people is table tennis piss poor ESPN numbers. And everybody noticed it. Bro, it wasn't good.
No. It was pretty dreadful. Now, I think it would be great. I think Brock Lesnar coming in facing Bobby Lashley. The thing is, I have one thing that has to happen in that match. Bobby Lashley has to be the one to go over. Brock Lesnar can't go over. Yeah. Bobby Lashley has to go over.
Exactly. You have it. Maybe Survivor Series you take it off, or Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Because you got to set up maybe a nice 7-month run to WrestleMania. WrestleMania is the payoff. It has to be.
It has to be. Here's the thing. You can elevate Bobby Lashley so much higher with him getting a victory over Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar doesn't need the win.
Right. No. He wants the money. He don't care.
Yes. So that's the one thing. That's the one thing I have for that SummerSlam match if it is to unfold. Now, let's move over to SmackDown. Again, Roman Reigns and the Usos dominate SmackDown. They are, again, we talked about it a little bit last week. They're highlighted at least 5 or 6 times throughout the program, which is great because it's some of the best stuff on the show. Fact. The problem is, are they overshadowing everybody else? Because in this past week's SmackDown, the Usos got to challenge the Mysterios twice. They basically opened the show and they closed the show.
Because there's nobody else. That's the problem you have when we've said it. If you listen to episodes in the 160s, we said, you got to elevate mid-card people. Who is it? Daniel Bryan leaves and it's like the air sucked out of the balloon. It'd be like if you went on vacation to Brazil for 4 weeks and was like, Doc, you run this wrestling show. It'd be like, man, Doc's got good takes, but there's something missing. The back and forth. He took the air out because you're great. You know what? You have the same passion of wrestling. There's nobody. There is literally nobody on SmackDown besides the top end people where you're like, yeah. Look, I'll be honest. I can share. I again was invited to the Thunderdome. I caught SmackDown on delay because I was doing other stuff. I said, do I really want to sit through it? And I said no. And I said, Dynamite's on. So I went to that. You know? So I said, I'm going to get excited to sit and wait for that. And could you imagine? And I'll ask you before we finish talking about SmackDown. Do you think that they should counter-program SmackDown in a year or so with if they do bring in a Braun Strowman and some more big names that have been a wasteland? Do you think they should counter live against SmackDown and see a Friday Night War?
I don't.
Not yet. Maybe in 2 years.
I don't know if that's what they want to do.
Right.
Because
but it's fun. Because if you have Tony Khan ain't going broke, bro. He's got unlimited money.
Yeah.
He's got money. The TV's pumping in money. You just say, screw it.
Bro, Flexingate makes a nice chunk of change around here. And his dad owns Flexingate, so they're doing okay.
Exactly. So you say, let's just go for it, because if you win, you now are in line to potentially take away their market share, and then you could be the one standing in the WWE ring with acquiring WWE. It could happen.
But I don't think this is the thing, though.
I don't think yet.
This is the thing. I don't know. I don't know if Tony Khan will do this. Vince McMahon has basically sold his soul to network television. He has sold it to NBC and he has sold it to Fox. And basically Fox and NBC dictate a lot of his moves. That's why you see a lot of the shuffling with the announcers. That's why you see a lot of the programming that you see. And it's not the same. So like the USA Network is owned by NBC, and for the longest time, the only thing that got a number and got a rating for USA was Monday Night Raw. And that's why Monday Night Raw hasn't gone anywhere. And that was why Monday Night Raw was forced to expand to 3 hours, because USA Network needed more ratings. And that's why that happened. We all agree 3 hours on Monday night sucks ass. But Vince sold the soul to the devil because they're like, hey, we'll pay you for this. And he was like, okay, cool. So he gives us a shittier wrestling product because he makes more money off of it. It's just, I don't know if Tony Khan will ever do that. They've already come to him. TBS and TNT have already come to him. What is it? AOL Time Warner, whatever the company name is. They've already come to him. They're like, hey, we want to give you more time. And he was like, we're not turning our 2-hour program into a 3-hour program. We see how that works. We don't want to do that. You can give us another show on a different night and we could do something there, but we're not doing that. I think Tony Khan sees a lot of the pitfalls that WWE has made and has made them by, like I said, selling their soul to network television. And I think he realizes, look, you need network television because it's the only thing that gets your programming across and it's the only thing that gives you a steady stream of money. But that being said, you can't have them come in and dictate what you're doing on your program. And I think the way they do things now, how they don't have any competition on a Wednesday night. And they don't really have any competition on a Thursday night because as much as we enjoy Impact, you can't find it. Like, you can't find it on television. You have to have, like, Comcast's highest end package in order to get it. So I think the way it is situated now is I think their preferred model. That being said, if they were to challenge them, I could see them winning because they do a better job with their shows. It's just a much more enjoyable show.
Okay, speaking of Dynamite, Friday night because of the NBA, we saw it. It happened. The Andrade showed up. Mm-hmm. What'd you make of it? Break it down. Did you believe that this was the way in which this character should have debuted in his new company?
No, absolutely not. Here's the thing. I was in the middle of.
I wrote down Adam thumbs down. This is right in my notes. Adam thumbs down. I knew you wouldn't like it.
No, I hate it. So you brought out Mark Henry, and Mark Henry's cutting his promo, and then next thing you know, you got Vicky Guerrero interrupting him. So like, cool, you've got this legend who's coming on to help build up a show, only to get the legs cut out from underneath it by Vicky Guerrero's annoying voice. To only have Andrade come out and basically say like 6 things and then walk off? And I was like, this guy right here, he has a match with Kenny Omega set up for Triple Mania. Nobody was expecting him to debut. Like, I thought he was going to debut on Sunday. Didn't happen. You could have let this guy sit for another week. He's got a match with Kenny Omega coming up at Triple Mania. You could have had that spill over. Again, the forbidden door has been kicked wide open. You could have had him come run in and mess up Kenny Omega. You could have referenced what was going to happen at Triple Mania and how they were going to take each other on. You could have referenced that Andrade is here to stay, that Andrade, like, wait, why is Andrade here? Is he here to stay? What's going on? No, instead you have him walk down to the ring. He looks like Rico Suave. Looks so good. But the way he, like him just cutting like a 3-second promo and then walking off was just so piss poor. Let me tell you what I was in the middle of doing. I was in the middle of cleaning up. I got done building my girlfriend a pantry. I got done cutting the final shelves. We basically worked on it for like 3 days. Got done doing all of it. I was cleaning everything up, all the sawdust in the dining room, everything. And Andrade comes on the television, and I start stomping my feet around the house. I'm like, this motherfucker, he shows up now. I was like, fuck yeah. I was pumped. Like, I was excited. And like, I got like my grown man stomp going, and I'm puffing my chest out. The dogs are all looking at me crazy. I take my shoes off. I get real comfortable. And I'm like, all right, cool. What do we do? And I stop everything I was doing, like dead in my tracks, John. Stopped what I was doing because I wanted to see what was going to happen. When I tell you it was the biggest letdown ever, it was like that first time you're about to have sex with your girlfriend when you were in high school, and you pull out your little wiener, and she's like, that's all you're working with. It was like the air got sucked out of the room. I was so sad and I was so mad. I was like,
True story, guys. True story, guys. True story. Oh, man. So good stuff there with AEW. It's just, unfortunately, the show was good, you know, in terms of the fallout from Double or Nothing. But yeah, Andrade. And look, we briefly touched on it. Mark Henry's going to be an asset. But like you said, AEW right now is teetering, and we'll talk about it in future episodes. Some of the broadcast talent is probably a little bit more over than the wrestlers. So we'll tease that, and we'll bring that up first thing next time. But you're kind of dipping into that, hey, you know, what's going on here with all these acquisitions of WWE guys? But Mark Henry's a Hall of Famer, great pop at the pay-per-view, so it's going to be a great opportunity to use him and to get him the work that he needs at the announce crew. So I'm absolutely thrilled to see his opportunity. And look, if someone's going to hand out money, you might as well take it. But before you get to your news and notes, I was just thinking real fast, look at you building projectors. I think this weekend you're working on a door. Look at you, man. You can put the handy belt on and do some things. Look at you.
Look, I was super excited. I went and bought a nail gun last Friday.
No, okay, I have to ask. Did you do it where you go like a kid and act like you were shooting things?
Yeah.
I mean, I do the same thing. I'd be like, die, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay. Be like, pow-pow, pow-pow. Adam with the nail gun. Absolutely. That's why I love you, cuz you're so awesome. And Adam was like, oh, I don't care, Doc. If we're on the outs, take me to Harbor Freight and I'll love you forever. Like, the light shines and there's Adam's playground with like nail guns and hammers. And okay, I'll share a little bit before we recorded. I went to, and we're going way off topic here, but it's funny. I want to tell you this. I go to Lowe's, right? And the wife sends me out for a 5-pound bucket. And I'm like, okay, a 5-gallon bucket. And I'm like,
5 pounds cool too. It's a heavy bucket.
Yeah, so I walk in. The first thing I look at, I always see the gardening. That's the side I walk in on. And I'm like, where would it be? And it's like barren. There's no workers. It's like one old lady at the customer service, the paint people. And
dude, when you get done talking about Lowe's, I'm going to tell you some stories about Lowe's.
Yes. So I walk around for a minute. I'm like, God dang it. I have no idea what I'm doing. Could it be in paint? So I briefly touch into the paint and I see some, but it's with paint. I'm like, okay, potentially. So then I circle the store and finally it's located in the middle aisle there. I could see it, and it wasn't the paint, but in the back section. So it took me an extra 15 minutes to get it. Cheap, $5, good. But literally, I won't remember. I have no idea the layout of any handy store. I don't know what goes where. I don't know if screws go in the paint. I don't know if wipes go in the electronic section. I have no clue in these handyman stores, and it's just a nightmare. So, because I know it's going to take me an extra 20 minutes. So for you to do that stuff is really cool, man. You hung up a projector, and we don't take that lightly here. Kudos to you.
Well, I'll have to have you over when we do a barbecue. And like, she bought this thing for my birthday. It was supposed to be a surprise for me, but she was so excited about it that she ended up basically giving it to me over Memorial Day weekend. And we just hang up this screen on the outside of the house. You set the projector up, and I got to watch the Montreal-Toronto game. Was it last Saturday? I got to watch that on the side of the house. It was great. But here's the thing about Lowe's. This is the difference between Lowe's and Home Depot. And I hate Lowe's. Every time we go to Lowe's, she knows I'm going to bitch the entire time we're in there because I can't stand it. I can't find anything in Lowe's. Home Depot, however, is laid out almost perfectly. Home Depot is made by a man, okay? Lowe's is owned by a woman. Like the way the company is laid out, it is made for women. No, this is real life. This is true.
That's what I'm saying, and that's how I feel. I feel like I can't find anything, and I'm always going to Lowe's. So you're like, Doc, bro, switch companies and call it a day.
Well, this is the thing. You'll notice that most women love going to Lowe's. Like, my mom loves Lowe's. She's like, I don't really like Home Depot. And I was like, why? I can't find anything in Lowe's. The way the store is laid out makes absolutely no sense to me. I can't find anything in there. Home Depot, however, I walk right in. I know right where I'm going, and I get everything I need.
It's there because you're like, oh, nails should go in the tool section. Boom.
Right.
There you go, right there. And there's complimentary stuff. Okay, that's the problem. See, because as the lazy man that I am, Lowe's is like half a mile closer to the house than the Home Depot, which is just a light turn away. So, okay, I now know go to Home Depot and might make the experience a lot better.
It might make it a little bit better. And I'll say this too. I ended up going to a Lowe's out in Rochester Hills because they had the shiplap that I needed for the pantry. That Lowe's was actually pretty spot on. It was a really nice one, the way they put it together. When I left there, I looked at it, and I think it might have just been because she got there like 15, 20 minutes ahead of me to basically have everything ready, so I didn't have to spend a lot of time in there. But when I was leaving, I was like, hey, guys, I just want you to know, I absolutely hate Lowe's, but I do enjoy your store. You guys are, out of all of the Lowe's that I've been to, and I've been to about 9 of them in the Metro Detroit area, I hate all of them. Your store is number one.
Yes, thanks everyone for listening to the hardware portion of our wrestling podcast.
We should start a podcast. It's like Bob Vila.
Hit me with this week's professional wrestling news and notes.
Oh, that's right. We still got that. My bad. In the post Double or Nothing media scrum, Tony Khan stated that AEW intends to sign more wrestlers based on their Elevation and Dark performances. The AEW president confirmed that they will keep producing the 2 shows and plan to develop more stars, informing fans that a format change is coming. It was previously reported that AEW will begin to offer tryouts to unsigned performers to feature them on Dark and Elevation. This is a great way for them to basically bolster the roster, get some younger wrestlers, and possibly hit on some new stars, which I think is fantastic. That way you don't have to use all of the old WWE retreads. A number of sources are reporting that 2 female performers have not had their contracts renewed by AEW. Per Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Observer, Awesome Kong and Shayna have not had their respective contracts renewed by AEW. Now, Fightful Select has provided more details on the situation. It was reportedly known as far back as April that Shayna would not be returning to the company. The report noted that there were rumors surrounding issues between Shayna and other performers, namely extras. Fightful Select stated that there had been these rumors from talent, not AEW officials. Now, according to Fightful Select, AEW pushed forward with the split of the Nightmare Collective when Awesome Kong was no longer cleared to compete. If you remember, a couple months ago, she was injured. It was also noted that Kong has not been in the coaching role, which was initially discussed for her. So Awesome Kong was supposed to come in. They gave her a wrestling contract, but that was supposed to be kind of like what Mark Henry's doing. He's supposed to be there to help coach. He's going to do some announcing, and he might get in the ring and wrestle a little bit. Awesome Kong was supposed to do some of the wrestling and some of the coaching, and she's basically been MIA. Now, AEW's injury list seems to be growing consistently. Chris Jericho, Anna Jay, John Silver, Kip Sabian, Ricky Starks, Darius Martin, and Ray Phoenix, all currently on the shelf. Now, adding to the injury list is Joey Janela, who has pulled out of an upcoming GCW show. The Blade and QT Marshall were pulled from the Casino Battle Royale this past Sunday. Now, Marshall and Anthony Agano both wrestled this past week on AEW's Dynamite on Friday night with Lee Johnson. Agano, remember, still dealing with that rib injury as it's being reported. Now, what I seen in the ring on Sunday night didn't really lead me to believe that there was much of a rib injury, but they're saying that he does have a pretty bad banged up rib. So we'll have to see what kind of goes on there. It's been confirmed that WWE's United States champion Sheamus suffered a broken nose during Monday night's episode of Raw. The Irishman suffered the injury in a match against Humberto Carrillo, which came straight after he had already wrestled Ricochet. Now, Carrillo landed a stiff blow on Sheamus's nose, which we saw multiple replays of, and PW Insider has since confirmed it's 100% broken. So Sheamus and Carrillo, they seem to have very stiff matches because somebody's always coming out pretty banged up when those two get together. So we'll have to see what happens with Sheamus going forward. You can wrestle with a broken nose. It doesn't feel great when you wrestle with a broken nose. We'll see if he's off TV for a couple weeks or not. I'm not sure what WWE is going to do to try to protect him. Maybe he puts one of those silly little Rip Hamilton masks on. I'm not sure. But that's going to do it for this week's wrestling news and notes.
Make sure you follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSGROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast for all the hijinks and hilarity surrounding the world of Detroit sports. Make sure anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, you type in Detroit Sports Podcast, and when you hit the subscribe button, all our daily content finds you. We appreciate everybody that's listened, interacted, and weighed in during wrestling pay-per-views. Always enjoy being in the mix. Our wrestling show has grown steadily over the past year, and we greatly appreciate it because it's a downtime for wrestling. But some news and notes will probably fuel the fire as we progress to see who's going to end up where, how the shows like Impact and New Japan potentially could work out with these companies and partnerships. So even though it's not exactly the hottest time in the world of professional wrestling, it always turns around when certain things do occur. And we'll be here to break it all down on the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast.